In 1966, Ford had the best-selling sports car in America. It was called the Mustang, and everyone agreed. Nothing could touch it. Chevrolet looked at that and said two words, "Hold on." 58 years later, the Camaro versus Mustang rivalry is still the greatest feud in American automotive history. Two brands, two cities, two philosophies about what a muscle car should be. One of them is still in production, and the story of why the other one isn't is more complicated and more American than you think. Let's be honest about how the Camaro was born. Ford released the Mustang in April 1964. It sold 418,000 units in its first year. That number didn't just surprise the industry, it terrified General Motors. Chevrolet's entire leadership went into emergency mode. They needed an answer. Fast. The project was codenamed Panther. The brief was simple: beat the Mustang. On every possible level. Performance, style, price, everything. 2 years of frantic development later, September 1966. The Chevrolet Camaro rolls onto showroom floors. The press asked Chevrolet what a Camaro actually meant. The marketing team said it was a French word meaning comrade or friend. Car journalists looked it up. There was no such French word. Chevrolet had literally invented a name for a car built entirely to destroy its rival. That's not embarrassing. That's commitment. Now, every muscle car has a legendary engine, but the Camaro has something no other car in history can claim. A legendary engine. That was never supposed to exist. General Motors had a strict internal rule. No engine larger than 400 cubic inches in a compact car. The reasoning was safety, liability, insurance. Chevrolet followed the rule, except one man found a loophole. Fred Gibb, an Illinois car dealer with a passion for drag racing and zero interest in corporate policy. GM had a system called COPO, Central Office Production Order. It was designed for fleet buyers, police departments, taxi companies, businesses that needed special vehicle configurations. Fred Gibb used it for something entirely different. He submitted a COPO order, number 9560, requesting Camaros fitted with a 427 cubic inch all-aluminum V8, an engine GM had built for Can-Am racing, an engine that weighed the same as a small block V8, but produced somewhere between 430 and 500 horsepower, depending on who you asked. GM officially rated it at 430. Independent dynos found 500. Only 69 of these cars were ever built. 69. And because they were ordered through a fleet system, they technically never violated any rule. A racing engine. In a street car, through a loophole designed for taxi cabs. The 1969 Camaro ZL1 today sells at auction for over $1 million. For a car that cost $4,900 new. That's not a car. That's a legend built on a technicality. People love to debate Camaro versus Mustang. So, let's talk facts. 1967, the Camaro's first full year. It sells 220,000 units to Mustang's 472,000. Round one goes to Ford, but Chevrolet is learning. Getting sharper, getting faster. By 1969, the Camaro hits 243,000 sales. The gap is closing. Then, in years when Chevrolet gets it right, the Camaro doesn't just compete, it wins. 1978 and 1979. Camaro outsells the Mustang both years, a fact Ford fans prefer not to discuss. Over the car's entire lifetime, more than 5 million Camaros built, across 6 generations, nearly 60 years. And through every single one of those years, the benchmark was always the same car, the same rival, the Mustang. No other rivalry in American automotive history has lasted this long, run this deep, or produced this much greatness on both sides. Ford made the Mustang better because of the Camaro. Chevrolet made the Camaro better because of the Mustang. Every generation, each car pushed the other to be something it never would have been alone. America got better muscle cars because these two brands refused to let each other win. But the Camaro had its own dark chapter. GM quietly ends production of the 4th generation Camaro. Sales have dropped. The market has shifted to trucks and SUVs. The Camaro, for the second time in its history, is gone. For 8 years, silence. And then, 2009. GM announces the Camaro is coming back. The design a direct callback to the legendary 1969 body. Wide, aggressive, unmistakably Camaro. When the first fifth-generation cars hit dealerships, people lined up. Grown adults who remembered their first Camaro stood in showrooms looking at the new one like they were seeing an old friend. First-year sales over 60,000 units. The comeback was real. And then, Chevrolet did something that silenced every critic who said the new Camaro was just nostalgia. Chevrolet brings back the ZL1 badge, this time as an official production trim. Not a loophole, not 69 cars, a real cataloged buy-it-at-the-dealer muscle car. Under the hood, a supercharged 6.2-liter LSA V8, 580 horsepower. Magnetic ride control suspension that reads the road 1,000 times per second and adjusts accordingly. This was not just a straight-line car. Chevrolet engineered it to be fast everywhere. Then, 6th generation. 2017. The ZL1 gets upgraded to 650 horsepower, and Chevrolet builds the ZL1 LE, a track-focused package that adds aerodynamic bodywork, multimatic DSSV dampers borrowed directly from race cars, and tires so wide they barely fit under the fenders. The ZL1 LE lapped GM's Milford Road course faster than any Camaro in history. It matched, and in some tests beat, cars costing 2 and 3 times as much. A Camaro, embarrassing European sports cars on a road course. Carroll Shelby once said, "You can't make a race car out of a production coupe." Chevrolet apparently never got the memo, because the ZL1 LE proved the whole world wrong. December 14th, 2023. The last Chevrolet Camaro rolls off the line at the Lansing Grand River Assembly Plant in Michigan. And unlike the Challenger's dramatic last call farewell, Chevrolet's goodbye is quieter, more uncertain. The official statement from Chevrolet FIV-P Scott Bell: "This is not the end of Camaro's story, but there's no electric replacement announced. No successor waiting in the wings. Just a pause. A silence where the engine used to be. The reason: the same forces that killed the original muscle car era. Emissions regulations, a corporate pivot to electric vehicles, a market that keeps buying SUVs instead of coupes. And unlike Dodge, which came back swinging with a 670 horsepower electric Charger, General Motors simply stopped. For now. The Mustang is still in production. The Camaro is not. In the longest rivalry in American automotive history, for the first time ever, one side simply left the field. That shouldn't make you angry. It should make you pay attention. Because history says the Camaro always comes back. Here's the thing about the Camaro that nobody talks about. It was never supposed to exist. It was built in panic, to fight a rival, named with a made-up word. Powered at its peak by an engine smuggled through a taxicab ordering system. Every great moment in Camaro history came from someone refusing to accept the limitations in front of them. Fred Gibb refusing to accept GM's engine rules. Engineers refusing to accept that a muscle car couldn't handle corners. Chevrolet refusing to accept that the nameplate was dead and bringing it back. Twice. That stubbornness, that refusal, that all-American instinct to find a way when the rules say there isn't one. That is the Camaro. The line is quiet now. The plant has moved on, but 5 million Camaros are still out there on American roads. Still loud, still fast, still absolutely refusing to be forgotten. Tell me in the comments. And I want to know exactly which one first-gen 1969 ZL1 monster, 5th-gen comeback car, or the ZL1 LE track weapon, which Camaro gets your respect. And if you've been following this series, Challenger, Mustang, Charger, and now Camaro, the ultimate comparison video is coming. All 4, one verdict. Subscribe, so you're there when it drops. See you then.